Hey sports fans, this is the Patzer and this is the chess.com puzzle for July 22nd, 2019. It's a pretty straightforward puzzle, just a few moves, uh, kind of obvious, not very difficult. However, well, let's step through it and then we'll see why it can be frustrating. Um, as we can see, we've got the rooks lined up here, so obviously taking that pawn is a no-brainer. The king steps out of the way, goes to the f8 spot, and of course it's not going to go to the h8 spot because the queen is threatening the rook, and of course if the king heads over to h8, queen takes the rook, and that's the end of the game. So not surprisingly, because the black rook is now hanging out there all by its lonesome, the next move is for the queen to take the rook, and so the queen or the black king then moves over once again because obviously it realizes that the queen is about to head into that h8 spot and it needs some breathing room. So the queen then does the next best thing, which is to take that exposed knight. And that's the solution to the puzzle. You do those three moves, and you have solved the puzzle as far as chess.com is concerned. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of chess left to play. And when I played the Stockfish engine from after the solution, I got to this point, and I'm thinking, well, what do I do next? And I guess I was feeling kind of cocky in an unearned sort of way because, let's face it, as a Patzer, when I'm cocky, it's always unearned. So I thought, well, I've just taken those so many pieces here. I'm so far ahead. Oh, and by the way, that's Stockfish playing the next move. Its next move in defending black. Now, if I had any brains, I would say, well, who's exposed here? Well, this pawn here is exposed. I would have taken it with the queen. However, I'm thinking, well, hey, you want to trade? And it's never a good sign when the Stockfish engine says, yeah, I'll trade, because that means obviously that the Stockfish engine kind of likes its odds. There's nothing really to lose there in a trade. And by golly, the Stockfish engine was right, because I'm still playing, okay, and obviously that pawn is marching along and it's protected by that rook. So I bring over the rook to stop it. And now obviously the black rook is, I guess prepared to swap pawns. So I move my rook over to protect that pawn on the H column. So we got some futzing around. And at this point, I'm really lost. I don't know what to do. So I hand over the reins to the Stockfish engine. I let the Stockfish engine play itself from this position just because I want to see what happens. I want to see how Stockfish gets out of this pickle. And, well, it's ugly. It takes forever. It's mighty ugly. And I'm just going to show you a little bit of the shenanigans. And then I'm going to quit because here we are, move 28. Let's go to the end. 149 moves. 149 miserable moves. And as you can see, black loses on time. And even white's only got 18 seconds left on a 10-minute clock. So when you're the Patzer and you decide that, swapping queens is a good idea, well, not even Stockfish, although I grant you that white, ended up winning in this position, but it won on time, not by mating black. So let's go back and take a look at what happened when the Stockfish engine played itself in this, and it's just a marvel of economy because it does everything that the chess.com puzzle says it should do. It gets to that point. Queen moves down there to c4. And, of course, the queen takes that pawn. It's there for the taking, so why not get rid of it? And here, what's so impressive to me here is how Stockfish figures out how to keep its queen, how to keep the queen the only powerful piece that white has, and, gets rid of all of black stuff except for the rook. So clearly, a real advantage. Then manages to take a pawn to boot. So it's up a pawn, plus queen versus rook. And, well, I'll cut to the chase here. 30 moves, wins in 30 moves. Not 149 moves, and as you'll see, it's mate. So there you have it. There is the puzzle for July 22nd, 2019. Stockfish, when you just let Stockfish go on its own, economy and precision. When it's me handing the reins over to Stockfish, not so good, but that's why I'm the Patzer. Anyway, this is the Patzer. Get out from behind the 8 ball, and I'll speak to you soon.